All right, boys and girls, can I just say I told you so? Seriously, I really did call this one pretty much on the nose with the new announcement last week for One D&D. We got exactly what we thought we would when we found out that Wizards of the Coast purchased DnD Beyond. First off, the elephant in the room, and the one thing I really kind of want to pat myself on the back for is the new virtual tabletop that has been announced alongside One D&D. I'm genuinely trying not to be overly smug here, but damn, all right? My predictions were dead on. So what the future of D&D is going to be as far as the core game and the publishing goes is, in fact, an all-in-one package for us as end users. I thought we would be getting a new edition to coincide with the big VTT launch and most likely a monthly subscription. And the only thing that I said that hasn't come to fruition yet is the monthly subscription. But come on, it's a VTT, it's going to have a monthly subscription. And most importantly, the literal sales pitch is exactly what I said it would be. Players play in person and online, and now they'll be able to take those games back and forth from pen and paper to laptops to tablets and back to pen and paper in all one big service. And then we get the new Dragonlance announcements. No, not that Dragonlance announcement, this one. Selling, you guessed it, codes in books, which to say I am a freaking Nostradamus is an understatement because I said it would never happen unless they raised the price of the book about $10. Well, ding, ding, ding. Looks like we have a winner because we are getting a physical and digital bundle now of $59.99, which is $10 higher than the typical physical MSRP. Additionally, when D&D Beyond was bought out, I said, well, this changes everything and that we'd most likely be getting codes in books now and that the best time to do that would be with a new edition of the game. So I'm going to take 1.5 points here because I got the codes in books right and I am taking a half point for getting the release alongside the new edition announcement. So Wizards wants to work out a few of the kinks before One D&D fully launches. That's not a terrible idea in my opinion. Speaking of a monthly subscription, by the way, for the new D&D Beyond, we also got a really weird screenshot over on Twitter almost exactly 24 hours before the big announcement that showed a new $30 a month sub for D&D Beyond that would include like everything ever, including all books. And at the top, we get this little line that says internal only, as in for D&D Beyond employees only. However, it appears that D&D Beyond saw this and came out to say that this image was 100% fake and that they had nothing to do with it or a $30 a month sub. To which I'll say, I guess it's fake, but it honestly wouldn't surprise me if D&D Beyond themselves faked it to gauge public reactions. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, I'm just not, but companies do stuff like that all the time. So for now, it's fake, but we'll see how far off it is from the truth eventually. Let's talk about this VTT because I kind of hate it, but not for the reason you might think. It's actually awesome. It looks great. I would play the crap out of it if it ended up on the Oculus, which is my favorite toy for big kids who don't want to grow up. Here's the thing. It looks awesome, and that's why I hate it. It's not a virtual tabletop, it's a video game. And because of that, I hate it for the following reasons. One, it's running on the Unreal Engine. Look, I'm a PC gamer, okay? With the powerful computer I built myself. I've been building my PCs for years. I can run this no problem. That's kind of a hobby of mine. But not all players are like me, all right? I've had players with technical issues running Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 on their potatoes. And I don't want sweet, amazing graphics to be an issue for players when it comes to a pen and paper role-playing game. Two, it's too pretty. It's going to be wildly distracting for players, and I'd much rather have round, flat tokens or actually just straight up theater of the mind combat. And one of my biggest pet peeves in the world, and something that I have to set clear boundaries for my players on, is getting too attached to the maps. What happens when you include a full map of a full dungeon? Players kill the monster, and the first thing they want to do is move their token down the hallway, tell the DM they're going to go check the next room, and then start moving their token over there. They move tokens over to tell me that they want to investigate a door. They get too caught up in the precise spot where they are on the map, and their human nature is to grab the token and move it over and move it around instead of just staying in the moment with the rest of the group. It's the reason I tell players that maps are for combat only. I don't need 5 players scooting tokens down a hallway 3 to 4 squares at a time in a big dungeon map. So yes, the new VTT is too pretty for me, all right? It's 100% a personal preference. Full disclosure, your mileage may vary. Reason number 3 why I hate it. Content. This is the biggie. Remember how I talked about how weird it would be for Wizards of the Coast to let third-party companies like Paizo, who is now making content for 5e, to make and sell content if they started their own VTT? Well, guess what? It was weird for them to do that. So instead of doing that, Wizards decided, hey, if we make a VTT that is now out of reach for third-party creators because we built it in the Unreal Engine with all of our new money, now we have even more control of the customer base. How the hell is Devin Knight, who's been making tokens since the jump of 5e, going to take his flat tokens and turn them into these new 3D renderings of goblins and dragons in the Unreal Engine? Now, I'm not saying he can't, okay? I barely know the guy. But hell, I bet few artists can just make that jump. So not only does Wizards want to corner the market on the game and your VTT dollars, but now making your own tokens in Photoshop is out the window? Going to make your own maps on Arkenforge? Well, now the official D&D Beyond VTT wants you to make them in 3D. Is that too complicated? No worries. Just buy ours. It's easy to build your own map in D&D Beyond with our program, and we'll even give you some free assets to get you going. And get this, our premium subscription, hey, that'll get you even more. In fact, we'll probably have a marketplace for community created maps with our assets, just so long as you pretend that anything third party never existed. Am I being hyperbolic? Of course. But if you don't care that talented artists might struggle a bit to integrate into the new VTT built in a 3D tabletop in the Unreal Engine, okay, fine. Looks like it's going to be a killer product. I mean, no doubt. I mean, by the end of the day, Wizards is going to separate itself from all of the competition with technology of all things. The old days of writers breaking off to do their own game design, like, I don't know, Monty Cook, and getting a good chunk of the pie is over absolutely. Let people get a taste of a 3D, all integrated, the most popular TTRPG for the next 10 years, and see how eager they are to go back to looking for OSR content. This is going to cut both ways. It's going to be absolutely amazing for everyone who just buys in, and pretty terrible for literally everyone else. But Cody, what about 1D&D? What about the game? Well. We got the very first playtest in the form of an Unearthed Arcana, and after reading it, damn, I loved pretty much everything I read. I mean, almost everything. This finally seems to me like a common sense approach to Dungeons and Dragons. This is already stealing a little bit of the best parts of Pathfinder 2e, like the 3 spell lists, Arcane, Divine, and Primal, and rolling back to previous editions of the game with feat level requirements now. But it doesn't stop there, right? It makes common sense changes to known languages, giving us some basics for a crafting feat, fixing the healer feat so that it spins the target's hit die if available, and so on. And let me say this. As a Warhammer 40k player now since 9th edition, D&D and D&D Beyond and 1D&D all rolled up into one big thing that focuses on digital is probably going to work a lot like Warhammer does now, okay? If you don't play Warhammer, let me explain very, very briefly. They make a big book for each faction in each new edition, and it takes about, 30 days after that book is out for Games Workshop to release a new FAQ, changing anything that they want that was in that book, taking away abilities completely, bumping other stuff up, altering point costs, and so forth. Then they release a quarterly update. Then there are new updates every year, and then 3 years after a codex is released, they decided to just abandon Necron core units entirely and just give the whole faction that keyword. Look, if you didn't follow that exactly, don't worry. The point is still the same for the context of 1D&D. When you print monsters in a book, they are like that forever. All right, it's in black and white print. But if the content is being delivered digitally, well, then updating the Tarrasque stat block is a minor issue. And as far as the money goes, it's a good sell as well. Getting players onto a subscription that has good value compared to the books where they can just get all of the latest stat blocks and updates and racial feat changes as basically a bonus for free, because what they're really paying for is the VTT, or for the content like they would for any paper books, is a good enough feature to move the needle a little bit for your dollars. Is DnD One a new edition of the game? Absolutely, 100%. Anytime you see Wizards of the Coast saying that it's still 5th edition, it's just a marketing ploy, and that's okay. But Cody, they say it's backwards compatible. Yeah, so was 3.5 to 3rd edition. 4th edition was supposed to be easy to convert monsters over as well. I've heard it all before, and it's fine. People panicking over a new edition just need to relax. D&D has been around for 50 years now, and it'll be here in 50 more. And it's just getting a new edition. It's not a big deal. And now that I've called out the newbies for a little bit for panicking, I kind of want to call it the old grognards too, like myself, complaining about D&D going so heavy into digital gaming. Tough. All right, you honestly think that with as good as technology is getting, that role-playing games wouldn't change with the times also? I mean, come on. If you think 150 years from now D&D is going to be played on paper, you're crazy. The only way that that's going to happen is if people are huddled in a cave as the 2nd generation of apocalypse survivors gathered around an ancient Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition book that they dug out of a fallout shelter. Probably one of ours. Or at least that's the horrible nuclear future in my head. So relax, guys. We might be getting a killer Oculus version of this thing soon, all right? Play with your friends across the country like you're in person. Will it be the exact same? No, it won't. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't be awesome in its own right. As far as looking over all the little nuances and changes that we've gotten in the first playtest, I'll do that more in depth sometime in the future, probably. But I kind of want to, actually play a bit of the playtest and gauge it in action instead of just on paper. The one thing that I'm really interested in playing around with is the new natural 20 critical rules and giving out inspiration for that. On my initial read, I was immediately like, oh, hell no, I hate that, right? But also them taking them away on short rest so players can't stack them up against a big boss encounter. That's an interesting attempt from the design team to kind of compromise and balance it all out anyway. So I want to play with it a bit more before I have an opinion and give that to you guys. Shocker, I'm actually able to change my mind based off of playing something for a while, right? So now I'm going to pass it over to you guys in the community. Did you think I was a big dumb idiot for predicting all this stuff the first time? Because if you left comments, you should fess up to that. What do you guys think? Honestly, what do you guys think about all this new 1 D&D, no more additions, the new VTT? Now we have codes in books for Dragonlance, but the MSRPs are kind of really high. And so far, as far as I can tell, the only way to get that is to pay those prices via D&D Beyond, right? Like, I don't think they have those codes and books available for retailers yet. I don't know what the future might include with that, but I'm interested in watching how that all shapes up. Do you guys think that this is the death of Foundry, Roll20, and Fantasy Grounds so far as D&D players, especially with the new edition? I can't imagine D&D One hits, the new edition's here, and people buy the books on any of those platforms instead of buying them on D&D Beyond. I don't see the value to any of those other systems, and that I don't think that's good for gaming. But what do you guys think? Do you think that the D&D money from the community, from the players, is going to dry up for those? Or do you think that the players are going to revolt and somehow just stick with what they know? I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on the future of how this is all going to shake out over the next 24 months or so. And don't forget to tell me what your initial opinions are about the suggested changes in that first playtest. I read your comments, really, I really do. So I'd love to gauge how the community, how you guys feel about what you've read so far. Please let me know down below. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I would love to have you subscribe. I put out videos on DM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. I, of course, want to give a massive shout out to all the incredible patrons over at welcomeadventures.com. Guys, thank you so much for your wonderful support. I get to do this because of you guys. So, period. Full stop. Thank you. It matters to me, and I really appreciate it. If you guys like what I do here, you want to support more content and snag some rewards for yourself, welcomeadventures.com is a great place to do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.